Hi, and welcome to Books in Action. My name is Larry Petraccaro, and I have with me as guest tonight Sarah Lester, who's the director of the Maplewood Library and Memorial Library, and also Amanda Eigen, who's director of Library Services. And we're going to talk tonight about the Maplewood Ideas Festival. This is the 7th year for the Maplewood Ideas Festival. And if I remember correctly, Sarah, this is something that you initiated, right? It was something that you started when you got here from, was it San Francisco, I guess?
Yes. So I became the director of the Maplewood Library 8 years ago, and I was immediately struck by how many talented and creative people are in town, including members of our staff, and just thought this would be a great way to celebrate the talent and creativity that's in our community. And thankfully, we have staff like Amanda and other people on staff that had a similar feeling, and so it was sort of an amazing thing from the start.
Well, it's been something I've tried to go to for a number of years now, and I kind of have to agree with you. It's interesting the people that you have access to.
Mm-hmm.
You know how creative or individual or different they are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall any of the last year's winners or highlights? Anything that really kind of sticks out before we get started about this year's program?
Well, certainly Taffy Brodesser-Ackner was really, really funny and just drew everyone in. And she came to us just before her best-selling novel, Fleischman is in Trouble, came out. So there was a lot of positive buzz in the publishing world about this book. So we were very excited to have her come, and she was great.
No, it was there for that. Actually, she's a neighbor of mine. She lives right around, like our backyards kind of touch on one another. She lives on one side of the street, not the same side of the street, but around the corner.
And I was and Allison Stewart was another.
Allison, I remember her.
And she was wonderful. And last year the literary award went to Tina Kelly, who is also an incredible writer, a poet, a journalist. Sort of she does everything, and she does it so beautifully. So it was really nice to be able to honor her.
Yeah, and I remember going to that, and one of the things I remember being struck about that was actually the whole idea of poetry as the art form it is, as opposed to like a novel. And I hopefully came away with a little better understanding. I mean, I can't rhyme any better, but but we weren't talking rhyming anyway. So let's talk about this year's programs. I saw the flyer that you have, the overall flyer, and it looks like quite a number of people. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but it looks like it's more people than we had last year.
It is. It's a bigger. We've got sort of back-to-back events, starting with a pre-festival event with the filmmaker, producer, director Barry Sonnenfeld. So we're really excited to have him. So he's going to kick off the festival on March 11th, and Amanda has our poster.
Barry Sonnenfeld. Okay.
And he has a memoir out called Call Your Mother. So he's very funny.
Very, very funny.
And he will be in conversation with documentary filmmaker Matthew Galkin, who is and he lives in Maplewood. Matthew does. So that's very exciting. And then you want to tell a little bit more, Amanda?
Sure. So, and then the festival officially kicks off on Maker Day, which is on March 21st. And that's always at the Hilton branch, and that's a great morning of activities for kids, and now we see teens also. We get kids of all ages coming in for that, and that's a statewide event, actually, that the library is proud to be a part of. Then we have our art and music reception that afternoon.
Yeah, I saw that. You have some jazz, I guess.
Yeah, and that is the artist. We're very excited to have the artist in Maplewood. His name is Marcel Chizimba, and he is a refugee from the Congo.
Really?
And lives in Elizabeth, and is an amazing artist, and also just has an amazing life story. So that's going to be a really special event.
Is he going to be talking about some of that life story, or is he just going to be playing music?
I think he will be. So yeah, so that will be really interesting. That's on March 21st, along with Maker Day. And then we have Andrea Bernstein from WNYC and NPR, and she'll be talking about her new book.
American Oligarchs, the Kushners, the Trumps, and the Marriage of Money and Power.
Yeah.
And she'll be speaking with Nancy Solomon.
Right.
And Nancy was here last year, wasn't she?
Yes, and Nancy is a big supporter of the library, and so we're glad to, to have her anytime she wants to join us.
Well, is she in Maplewood or a South Orange
She's in
resident, or-
Maplewood, and she'll
okay.
actually be with us for 2 events this year. She'll also be with Mary Mann and Carolyn Parisi from the Village Green. And Nancy will be interviewing them. And this year, we will be giving Mary and Carolyn the first annual Carol Buchanan Award.
And this is an award that will go for outstanding contributions to civic and intellectual life in honor of Carol Buchanan, who was,
I knew Carol, yeah.
Just-
She was a librarian, wasn't she, originally?
She was a librarian. She was on the library board for 25 years. Was one of the people that started the Hilton Neighborhood
Hilton Neighborhood
Association. I
Association.
mean, just an all-around incredible person. So that's a really special thing, just a special event and a special
So this will be
honor.
the first
Yes.
award?
Yes.
And you may have said it, and I may have missed it, the criteria for being awarded the Carol Buchanan Award is,
so it's going to people for outstanding contributions to civic and intellectual life.
you did
So
mention
that's
that.
the,
With a local focus, or?
Yes.
With a
Yeah.
local focus?
Yeah. And we also have coming Marta Tellado, who is the president and CEO of Consumer Reports. And she grew up in Maplewood and graduated from Columbia High School, I believe, in 1977. So that is, we're really excited to have her here. Her family immigrated from Cuba when she was a child, and they moved to Newark. And so she was actually living in Newark first, and then moved to Maplewood. But she also has a very interesting life story, and was at the Ford Foundation before going to Consumer Reports. And she'll be in conversation with David Boccaccio, who is local and has joined
Yeah.
us before as well.
I remember he also does that show on NPR.
Marketplace.
Marketplace.
But
Right.
was it last year or 2 years ago he was here, wasn't it? But
it
I
was
remember.
it was
being-
more than that, I think.
Yeah.
More than that?
Yes.
It might have been 4
It might have
years.
been 6.
6.
6 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. It's funny how time kind of eludes you a
Yeah.
little bit like that.
And we always have one event geared towards children's besides the Maker's Day. And this year we have the middle grade and children's author Ibby Zavoy, who is a Maplewood resident, and she is her latest book is called My Life is an Ice Cream Sandwich, and she's received numerous awards for her work. So we're really excited to have her at the library.
Yeah, in fact, I think I have heard of her. I think I met her briefly last year. She was, I think, at the book festival
Yes.
as well that they had in town. And My Life is an Ice Cream Sandwich. Do you have any idea what that's about?
I think you're going to have to come to the event.
I guess. I mean,
And it's on March 28th.
certainly
So,
can't judge
yeah.
that book by its cover,
Right.
or at least
So
not
I'm
by
gonna
its
I'm gonna
title.
let her talk about that, and you can read it before the event.
I could.
And what I haven't said either is, Words will be at all of our events where we have authors. They will be selling copies of the books, and Words has been a sponsor of the Ideas Festival since the beginning. So we're very grateful for the support of Jonah and Ellen.
Yeah.
For the library, for the festival, and for celebrating books in our community.
I think for the community too, yeah.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
nice
It's I'm so thankful that they're here.
In terms of the types of people that we've honored over the years and as we're moving up, has there been any kind of like movement in one direction? Has it ever tended to focus, or just anecdotally, does it seem like things have maybe changed a little bit, that the people are older or younger or I don't know, taller? You know?
I think we've expanded our reach and kind of just our mindset so we are able to include people from various areas, and just what I love so much about the Ideas Festival is that everything is creative. We've had people come who are entrepreneurs and of course writers and journalists, but also people who bring something to the world in other ways.
Well, didn't we just have, you had, I guess, was it last year or the year before, a photographer? I think did he take
Yeah, Chad
The drone
Hunt.
show?
Yes,
Yeah.
Chad Hunt.
Hunt was our photographer last year, and he had been embedded in I think in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He takes incredible photographs, and we've had a couple of really, I mean, well, we've had many really incredible photographers who've exhibited at the library.
And he's local, isn't he? He's a
Yep,
Maplewood
he is,
resident?
Yeah,
Yep.
so everybody has a local connection. I mean, many people are from Maplewood or grew up here or are related to someone, you know, from our community
Or know someone who knows
Yeah.
someone.
Well,
Right.
but to your point before, I think I got that same impression when I was looking at the at the overall poster, that you're kind of growing or expanding and
Right.
getting a wider range of people or ideas.
Right.
Or,
Well, I guess, you know, and I'll let Amanda talk about Jennifer Hickson, but Jill Rooney Carr is the wife of the late David Carr, who's a journalist for the New York Times. And they actually reached out to us to be part of the Ideas Festival. So
Oh,
we
neat.
have that kind of a combination where we've come up with ideas, but also have had people, authors, and other people reach out to us that want to be included. And Jill lives in nearby, so it makes sense. And she'll be talking with John Schwartz, who is also a journalist at the Times and a very good friend of David Carr's. So we're looking forward to that. And then the Moth.
Yeah, so on Monday, March 30th, I'll be in conversation with Jennifer Hickson, who is Senior Director at the Moth Radio Hour, which, for those who may not know, is it's a storytelling event that is very, very popular. They're actually going to be having a live event at SOPAC on May 16th. So I'm very, very excited to sit down with Jennifer and get some information about storytelling. I think
well, she's not one of the storytellers, though.
I believe she has been.
She has been?
Yes, but she is a director and producer, or senior director. So I actually, well, like Sarah said, you'll have to come to the event.
Yeah.
We need to find out more information about Jennifer.
No, I mean, definitely. Like in years past, I've always tried to go to, all the ones that I can. So
Right.
It's really quite it's quite a nice event for the the cultural life of the community. Really, to be able to, not just to recognize the people, but to kind of expand your own horizons. I remember it was a couple of years ago, you had one of the Olympic athletes who
Oh, yeah.
were from. I say a couple of years ago. Everything seems like a couple of years ago. It all kind of melds together. I guess it's something
we
that
had
we'd have to be.
Hazel Clark.
Right.
and-
Yes, Hazel
Right.
Clark,
And
and
then we
her.
had
We had Ibtiaj Muhammad as
Ibtiaj
well.
Muhammad.
Yeah.
So we've had 2 Olympic athletes.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a children's book about Ibtiaj Muhammad.
Uh-huh.
I've seen it because I don't know where I picked it up, but so there's actually a book about her.
Right.
We're going to have to take a break, so when we come back, we'll continue. So if you'll stay with us, we'll be back in about a minute.
It's an onion.
Welcome back. This is Larry Petraccaro with Sarah Lester and Amanda Eigen, and we've been talking about the upcoming 7th Maplewood Ideas Festival. And just before the break, we were talking a little bit about one of the people that are going to be there, the executive director, I guess, of the Moth Radio Hour. So
Jennifer.
puts that, yeah. But there's still a number of other guests that we're going to get a little bit of information about. And it's not just people. There's also different types of events. I think Sarah and Amanda both mentioned Maker's Day. There's different receptions and things. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then maybe get into the process, if you want to call it that, of how, I guess that's what you would call it, how we identify the different honorees that we have for the Maplewood Ideas Festival. And also, importantly, we should tell you when it is so we can make sure you get there. So, let's go back to the different individuals that
Okay.
yet we have to, are going to be
So
there.
we're
So
very
there's a few
excited
more.
on April 2nd, we have the authors of a new book out called the Toni Morrison Book Club. And the authors are Judah Bennett, Winifred Brown Glaude, Cassandra Jackson, and Piper Kendricks Williams. And they're all professors at the College of New Jersey, and they're very good friends. And they spent a period of time reading all of Toni Morrison's books. And then wrote about in a very personal way. They each wrote about that experience. And the book just came out and is receiving starred reviews. And the connection to Maplewood is our children's librarian, Emily Witkowski,
Oh, I know Emily.
attended the College of New Jersey and
Oh.
had, I can't remember if it was one or two as professors.
one.
So that's a really nice connection, and we're really excited that they're coming.
Is that a novel or a memoir or?
So it's a memoir of,
Memoir.
and again, we're gonna have to listen to find out exactly how they did it. But
right.
they did have Toni Morrison's blessing to do it, and I know that she passed away before the book was published.
Okay.
But,
Just recently, I think.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So that is gonna be very exciting.
So that'll be great for all the Toni Morrison fans in town.
Right.
Yep.
And then do you want to talk about? Yeah.
Sure, and then we're very, very excited to honor Abby Scher as our 7th annual Maplewood Literary Award recipient. And Abby is an award-winning writer and performer. Her work has appeared in the New York Times, the New Yorker, Washington Post, the LA Times, and various magazines. And most recently, one of her stories that was from the New York Times several years ago, but it was adapted for the series Modern Love, which was it Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has a new YA book coming out called Miss You, Love You, Hate You, Bye.
Okay. Okay.
And she has another book called All the Ways the World Can End, and she's just a great, interesting person. She's going to be a wonderful guest. We're very excited.
And she actually, in today's Times, she has an article in today's Times in the Well section on eating disorders.
Oh, my
Oh.
goodness.
So, which actually ties into her latest book, which is what Amanda said, Miss You, Love You, Hate You, Bye.
You said that was a young adult book.
Yes.
Does she tend to focus on young adult, or does that just happen to be one of the many things that she
So
does, I guess?
she's written a memoir called, a memoir that she wrote was Amen, 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 which she wrote after her father died when she was a child, and what she wrote about that experience. But since then, I think most of them have been young adult.
Mm-hmm.
But she was, as Amanda said, I mean, she's extremely funny and an amazing performer, and she was in Second City in Ohio, in Chicago. She does a lot of stand-up and comedy events in Maplewood and South Orange.
Really?
And I think she really, she is a real kind of Maplewood person, and there's so,
Yes.
it's so fascinating that there's, we have so many people in our community that are just multi-talented.
Yeah.
And Abby is one of them, and also just
And she's also a very active library user,
Yes.
which we
Oh,
love.
yes. So she's, and when she's writing, when we see her, kind of in the stacks or in, using one of our cubicles or what, she is, intent. And,
She's intense on what she's
yeah,
doing.
yes.
So she goes locally as well, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Anyone else going to be?
So I think, did we cover it, Amanda?
I think that rounds out the
Yeah.
festival.
Of the people.
But the-
Of the people,
It's
but-
more than just people, right?
Right. So this year we are having a special. The Maplewood Library Foundation is having a special event, which is going to happen at 1:00 right before the Literary Award, and that's the Literary Award presentation and talk is on April 4th at 2 p.m. and 1 p.m. right before that. The foundation will be kicking off what they're calling their Writing a New Story capital campaign, and announcing that they have reached the first $1 million milestone of that campaign.
Oh, great.
So now it's going into a public phase, and this campaign is to raise money for our new Maplewood Library, which we are now getting much closer to actually, to getting to having one. The town has committed $10 million in funding for the library. The foundation has already raised $1 and is hoping to raise an additional $1 million this year. That will include everyone's participation in Maplewood, and we're hoping to get 100% contributions from the entire town. We're also applying for a state grant right now. That's a one-to-one match. Amanda's working hard at work right now on the narrative for that grant. I had a meeting down at the Department of Environmental Protection today to go over all the things that we need for that. So this is really just a community celebration to get everybody excited for what we have ahead in
Well,
Maplewood.
that is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen
The renderings.
The renderings.
Right.
Is that changed? It's still more or less along
It's
the
more or
lines?
less the same, yeah. So it is very exciting, and when we think of doing events like these, right now, we do that in the basement of the library.
Yes,
Which we have embraced. But in our new building, that our event space will be on the first floor of the library with a separate entrance. You can enter from the main entrance of the library as well as a separate entrance, and that will be a really beautiful space. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's one thing, I mean, we're kind of a little off topic here, but I think sometimes we forget how multi-used the library
Oh,
is
my
for so many
gosh.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I've been there for a number of things, like when you mentioned you're going downstairs, I mean, that's where a lot of them take place, but they're all different kinds of things.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
guess
Yeah.
groups can reserve space and have
Right.
meetings there and things like that.
And I think that's what, I mean, people who work in libraries, I can say, I think everybody who works at the Maplewood Library, that's what we appreciate
Yeah,
about
yeah.
our library is that, people from all walks of life come into our library. We have the Broadway performers who are waiting to get on a train, mothers with kids, or,
People who are working from home, or people who are pursuing realtor licenses or degrees online.
Right, or people who need to, get on our computers to get food stamps. I mean,
Yeah,
there's all,
yeah.
or find jobs, or, do all sorts of things. We're gonna play a big part in the census that's coming up, and
right.
really providing access for people that don't have computers at home or who need help, doing their census information.
Well, I've
So-
seen that too, some of the different educational programs, some of the tutoring or mentoring or helping. I mean, that's, I think we tend to think of the library as books, but it's obviously a lot more than that. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about is when. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have our pre-festival event is with Barry Sonnenfeld, and that's on March 11th. And all the events all the evening events are at 7 p.m. in Memorial Hall at the main library. Maker's Day is at the Hilton Branch, and
Right.
that's March 21st at 10 a.m. from 10 to 1. And then at 3 o'clock, we have the art and music celebration.
that's on the 21st.
Reception,
Right.
sorry, on the 21st also, and that's at the main library in the main reading room. And then,
And then we go through April 4th, so.
Every day or?
Almost.
Almost
I
every
mean,
day.
it's the first week, we have Andrea Bernstein on March 23rd, Mary Mann and Carolyn Parisi on March 25th, Marta Toledo on the March 26th, Ibby Zaboy on Saturday, March 28th.
and that's at 2 p.m.
Yes. And then Jennifer Hickson on March 30th, Jill Rudy Carr on April 1st, and the authors of the Toni Morrison Book Club on April 2nd. And then we finish on a Saturday. So those are mostly, evening events, and then we finish on Saturday, April 4th, with Abby Scher.
Now, the Ibby Zaboy, you said, was that event was geared toward children
Yes.
or young adults? Or
But
so
I think
what?
She'll be of interest to
Oh, no,
everyone. Yeah.
I suspect that, but I
Yeah.
mean, will there be, if you wanted to bring somebody who was 7 or 8 years old or
Yes.
10, I mean, what do you think would be, that she would be doing to focus on that? Would she be just talking about some of the young adult books she's written?
You know
or-
what, I'm not actually
Well, it's up to
sure.
her, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, we know that she coordinated with Jane Folger, who is the head
Okay.
of our children's
Yeah.
room. So I'm pretty sure that the event will be good for old children in grade school and
Right.
and
Well,
middle
okay.
school.
No, I was just curious because, it's nice to start to expose your younger kids to this kind of stuff, and when something can be focused in that direction, then it really can give them a certain degree of interest and enthusiasm. And so, yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just curious, but
Yeah.
I suppose a lot of this evolves as it goes on, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so. So it's up through April 4th, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, so that's so those of you out there that want to go, it's March 11th the first one,
Right.
and March 21st through April 4th, more or less every day, and if nobody's there, you can take out a book.
Right,
I
yes.
guess.
And you can check our website at maplewoodlibrary.org for all of the information, and we're pushing it out on Facebook and social media, Instagram and Twitter, so
Technology.
you can
Yes.
find us.
Yeah,
We're easy to find.
Yes.
as long as you're young enough to know how to use that stuff, I guess. So, well, this is the 7th
Right.
one, and it's going to start in March. When will you start planning for number 8? Do you start doing that as soon as number 7 is
April
over?
6th.
Yes.
Pretty much? So
yeah.
it's a fairly lengthy process then,
Yes.
for you to have to get through.
Well, we come up with ideas right away, and sometimes just things from the events or people that come to the events really start us thinking about, who we're going to invite for the next year. But it takes a little while to kind of think things through, and then we have a whole team. Our whole librarian staff works on this, and
Well, you have
it's
to reach out to
exciting.
the people, you have
Yes,
to get commitments.
yeah.
So it's sort of
And all the events are free. That's the other big
but
thing that I want to say is
Yeah.
that, that's something that we feel very strongly about, and that public libraries are free and open to all, and these cultural events should be free to the public.
Well, that brings up another quick question. Have you started to see people come in from further away?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been, I tell this to people that
Mm-hmm.
I know from different places to make them aware of it, because it's nice to have that break sometimes from, watching Superman or something.
Yeah.
Well, I
whatever's on
remember when
TV.
Angie Thomas came a couple of years ago, and that was a big event and very, very exciting. She had her book out, The Hate You Give,
Oh,
and
yes.
I was talking to someone and the weather was kind of bad that day, it was snowing, and she said, "Oh, I'm so glad I made it." And I said, "Well, where did you come from?" And she came from 2 hours away in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yes,
Yep,
So your reputation spreads.
yes.
it's exciting.
It is. And I think we're out of time, so we're going to have to call it. Thank you both for coming and telling us about the Ideas Festival. And thank you for joining us on Books in Action, and we'll hope to see you in the library.